Okay, welcome back to the second part of my rehearsal to my this year's SAP Insight Track talk in Frankfurt. The first part stopped abruptly due to some technical issues, I hope, which are now fixed, and now we can go on. Well, where have we stopped? We stopped at the debugger scripting facility in the new ABAP debugger. We've seen an example of a standard script delivered by the SAP. Well, there are some useful standard scripts, but you can also develop your own scripts. And I want to show you some examples. Okay, first one, watch pointed field symbol. A well-known long-time restriction of the ABAP debugger is that you can't put watch points on field symbols. For example, as in this case, the number field symbol, if I try it, we get the error watch point cannot be created, error of validity. This annoyed me since a long time, but now with the debugger scripting facility you can easily work around this issue. So let's do it. Go to the script tab and say load script. Load our own set script watch point at field symbol, execute the script. Now the script asks me about the field symbol I'm interested, say number, and now the debugger stops when the field symbol is reached. Now we can inspect the number variable and execute the script again. Now the watch point gets triggered, and a third time. So actually with this simple script we have added functionality to the debugger which is missing since a long time. And that's a great thing. Okay, now some other example. Breakpoint at pattern match. Considering this code where we have a simple booking code variable which is populated several times with hard-coded values. So now if we are interested in exactly the line of code when this magical value is assigned and we want to analyze this, we want to automate this analyzing process. Well, in this case we could easily set a watch point on this variable, but let's presume that this assignment is somewhere hidden deep in our call stack and not reachable that easy. So I have written for a script for this use case where you can specify arbitrary patterns to search for, and the debugger stops when the pattern occurs. So let's do it. Load script, set script statement break, execute, specify the pattern, let's say assignment of this variable, execute, and now the debugger stops actually when this magical value is assigned. So this script has proven to be very, very helpful, especially if I want to search some hard-coded values in my code and do some analyzing on that. Great. Next example, inspect log. Oftentimes in more complex ABAP development we have some kind of logging facility in our programs, often with the business application log, and sometimes we have a wrapper object to do the logging. As in this example, the do some logging method returns a log object, and presume that we want to analyze this log object. Well, what can we do? Of course we can go manually in the log object and do the analyzing by hand, but that's not always very useful because the log object can be very large or some other issues. And usually we can't use the SLG1 because the log is not yet persisted. So for me it would be very useful if I could visualize these logs directly in the debugger. So I've written a short script to do exactly that, and I want to show it, and I want to show you another option to launch scripts in your debugger, this so-called script wrapper, which opens directly on the desktop and lets you execute scripts from here. So let's do it. Show log script. Now the script asks me about the reference variable, say log, and now the log is displayed directly in the debugger and I can do further analysis on it. Okay, these were 4 short examples about debugger scripting in ABAP debugger. I'm a big fan of it, and the more I use this tool, the more situations I see where I can approach it. So it's some kind of self-reinforcing, and that's always a good thing. Okay, let's move on. ABAP in Eclipse. Most of you have heard that ABAP in Eclipse is the new state-of-the-art development environment in the ABAP world. There's also a debugger integrated in the Eclipse environment to analyze your ABAP programs. I must admit I am not yet a big fan of it because I think it lacks some important functionality and has no unique selling point yet. But with the appearance of NetWeaver 750 there is one neat feature called dynamic log points, which I want to show you. So let's switch to the Eclipse development environment. I prepared a simple test program where an int variable is randomly created and displayed to the user. So now let's assume that we have a bug in this program and we want to analyze the state of the random int variable. How can we do this? Of course we can debug it, but let's say we are in production and are not allowed to debug, or this is a remote process, or it's in an update task or something else. So that's not feasible. Well, what can we do else? Okay, we could put some logging inside here with the business application log or the ordinary log point statement, but for some reasons we are not allowed to make a change in the program. Okay, so many words. With the NetWeaver 750 comes a new possibility in Eclipse to put log points dynamically. So let's do it, say add log point. Now I can specify the variable I'm interested in, random int, for which user, say test, because he has reported the bug. And now the dynamic log point is created. That means every time the test user executes this program, the random int variable is traced and we can remotely analyze the state. Okay, so let's do exactly that to prove this. I go to the system with my test user, execute the program. Now it shows me the secret number is 9. And if I go back to my Eclipse environment, there is a log point tab. I can go to my log point, say retrieve results from the server. And here is it. And now I can see the magic value of 9 is also visible here in the debugger. So I think this is a great tool for remote problem analysis, and it's a very nice feature of the Eclipse environment. As said, it's available since NetWeaver 750 and Eclipse only. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. Next tip, automation. I'm a big fan of automation, and one key part of my automation process is to use the keyboard. And one important thing is to use the shortcuts. So there are quite a few of them in the debugger. For example, if you hover over the buttons here, you can see them in the tooltips, or if you go to the menu, you can see which shortcuts are available. But what can we do when there are no shortcuts? Well, we can use the Alt letter tip. For example, if I want to breakpoint in this line, I can press Alt R I enter, and the breakpoint is set to remove it the same. And if I do this very fast, it's almost like a shortcut. And I can do this with every action which is in the menu. Another powerful source is the context menu, where almost all actions are located. For example, if I want to open a new menu, I can say context menu, which I've opened with Shift F10, 2 times L, enter, N, enter, and enter again, and now I have quickly opened a new tool. And if you do this sometime, you get very fast in it, and it's way more powerful as using your mouse, I think. Okay, well, but there are some functions in the debugger which can't be reached easily with these tips, so we must use other tools. One tool that we've seen is the debugger scripting facility. Some other tools are sub-GUI scripting and auto-hotkey scripting, which in combination are a very powerful couple. And for this couple, I want to show you some use cases for me. Okay, so what I do often in a debugger is switch on my debug desktop between the different areas. well, you can do this with the mouse, but with the keyboard it's very hard, so I've written the scripts. For example, if I want to go to the locals tab, I can launch my script launcher, say locals, and now the locals tab is opened. If I want to go to the stack, I can do the same. Now I'm here in the stack. If I want to go back to the code, I can do it. Now I'm here again. If I want to go to bar 1, I can do it too. And so I can navigate very fast through my debugger desktops. Okay, another use case is general tab switching, which annoys me very much in the subGUI, that it's not easy to switch the tab with the keyboard. But I've written my own tool to access arbitrary tabs on the screen. Let's launch it. Now I get a list with all tabs which are available. If I want to go to the checkpoints, I can do it like this. And if I want to go back to the watch points, I can do it the same way. And so this is very important for my workflow to reach all positions of the screen with the keyboard. Okay, of course there are plenty of other automation tools, and I think they help me very much. So, summarizing, automate the boring stuff and automate everything that breaks your flow. But keep in mind that this is a very personal thing. For me the keyboard is very important because I'm a keyboard guy, and every time I have to grab the mouse it breaks my flow, so I want to prevent it. But this could be the other way around for other users. There are more mouse users, and that's okay, and everyone must find his own way. But for me, the keyboards and all the shortcuts and all the scripts are very important. Great, next tip, do debug retrospectives. What does that mean? Think about debugging and the process of debugging after a successful session. It's basically the same as we do after projects or sprints. We analyze what went well and what went not so well and figure out how we can improve. So, just try this after the next debug session. Analyze what went well, what went not so well, where you can improve, where you can act more effectively and efficiently so that you can find your bugs better. Okay, last tip, educate yourself. Debugging exists since the very first program has been written, so it's a long time, and there are plenty of resources about debugging, and I want to show you two of them. There is a great online course on Udacity called Software Debugging Automating the Boring Task, which I can recommend highly. It's actually free. And there's a great book about debugging called Debug It. It costs some bucks, but I think it's worth the money. Of course, these two resources are not related to SAP, but to debug in general, and I think they can't hurt. The opposite is true. They helped me a lot to improve my debugging workflow and to get the right mindset and the right problem-solving approach. Okay, but keep in mind that especially in the debugging, the most important thing is to learn by doing. You can't learn debugging if you watch videos or attend lessons or read a book. You have to do it yourself. Well, how can you start? One example could be that you go to my GitHub repository and clone this presentation and the appropriate scripts and do it yourself. You can do this easily with ABAP Git. Just clone it and try it out. Or you could actually watch a replay of this video at my live coding account. Okay, great. So now we are at the end. I hope everyone has learned at least one new thing, and I want to thank you and have fun. And this is the end of my first livecoding.tv recording, and I think it's a great thing. Let's watch at the chat. Okay, something happened, but I must admit I haven't seen it. So, thank you for watching and have fun.